Alright runners, you're currently running and experiencing a bit of knee pain. You're in the middle of your training block and you don't know what to do. You've tried stretching, you've tried resting it, and nothing is helping. You need to continue training. So what do? But what if I said you could strategically use the profile of your shoe to help manage running whilst you figure out what is happening around the knee? I'm Kev, a runner and a physiotherapist who has seen over 500 runners and helped them manage the pain whilst continuing to train. And so before we actually go any further, I want to make sure that you understand that the shoe is not the only reason that your knee hurts. Now let me explain on that. Knee pain in runners, whether it's ITB syndrome or runner's knee at the front, is almost a result of an accumulation of things. Training load that's crept up way too fast, a strength or mobility gap in your hips or your ankle, fatigue accumulating across a big training block or across the whole year, life stress, lack of sleep, all of this matters. A shoe alone cannot fix any of those things. But this is why this video is worth your time. A shoe could be a meaningful tool while you're managing an injury. It can turn the volume up or down on your symptoms, and it could also help reduce the load on any irritated structure enough to let you keep training, keep moving, and give your body a chance to catch up a little bit. Now think of it like this. If your knee is the fire, a shoe is not a fire extinguisher, but the right shoe might help stop someone throwing some more petrol onto it. So that's the frame of this video, and we're not here to find the shoe that cures your knee, because that will be magical and everyone will be just referring or recommending this particular shoe. We're here to understand which shoe properties load the knee the least and which ones quietly make things worse, so you can make a smarter decision whilst you work on the actual problem. Now, I'm going to show you exactly what's happening inside your shoe with every single step, not just which shoe to buy, because that's the lazy answer and I wish there was a magical shoe out there, but why certain properties matter biomechanically and how to evaluate any shoe on the market. By the end of this, you'll be able to walk into any running store or scroll through any product range and actually know what you're looking at. And if you stick around to the end, I'm going to give you a simple checklist that you can screenshot and take with you next time you're shoe shopping. 7 questions, 30 odd seconds, and it will tell you more than any salesperson will. Let's go! Now, first section, the problem with generic advice. The most common thing I hear people say is, "Ow, my knee hurts. I either need to rest it or I need more cushioning in my shoe." And I get it. Makes more intuitive sense, right? More padding between your foot and the ground should mean less stress at the knee, but not necessarily. What I found interesting in my own experience with running is that cushioning and protection are not the same thing. A softer shoe does not automatically mean a safer shoe for your knee. In fact, some of the most cushioning shoes on the market can increase the load in your knee if the foam is the wrong density or if the platform in itself is unstable. So before we get into the brands and models, because they evolve all the time, I want to talk to you through 4 properties that actually matter, because if you understand these, you can evaluate any shoe and not just the ones I'm about to show you. The first property, heel drop. Now, heel drop is the difference between the heel and the forefoot of the shoe. A 12mm drop means that your heel sits 12mm higher than your toes. So it's sort of like a high heel that you're standing on. Zero drop means your feet are level, flat, even to the ground. And here's why that matters for your knee. A higher drop pushes your knee further forward with every step. The most consistent thing I see in the room is that runners who move out of high drop shoes, particularly in that 10 to 12mm heel drop range, often see a meaningful reduction in both ITB syndrome and some runner's knee syndrome. The sweet spot for most runners dealing with the knee pain is about 4 to 8mm. Now, and this is critical, because I don't want you to drop from a 12mm heel drop shoe down to like a 4. That's how you swap knee pain for potentially an Achilles or calf issue, if you drop the range drastically. You want to drop it over time if you're looking to drop into shoes of a lower heel drop. It's an intuitive transition. Property 2, stack height. Stack height is the total thickness of the foam between your foot and the ground. And this is where most runners get confused. More stack height doesn't mean more protection. What it means though is potential for instability. Now, here's how you break this down. Generally speaking, anything under 25mm is considered a low stack. Great ground feel and encourages midfield landing, but only if you've already adapted to it. If you're a heel striker at a low stack shoe, you're not protecting the knee as much, you're just shifting the load somewhere else. 25 to 35mm heel drop. This is your sweet spot for most runners with knee pain. Enough absorption to buffer the impact forces, but still stable enough underneath you. Anything above 35 millimeters on a general base is considered higher stack, and that's where most shoes land in at the moment. This can reduce impact, but if the foam is too soft, the platform becomes very unstable. Your foot sinks in unevenly, your hip may drop, and your IT band gets loaded every single step. And the shoe feels great for the first 5Ks, but then your lateral knee starts screaming. Stack height tells one part of the story. Cushioning density tells you the other part, and that's what we're about to head into now. Property 3 is the cushioning density. This variable is what nobody talks about, and this is the most important one. And this is because it changes everything. Two shoes can sit at 38mm heel stack and behave completely different because of the foam density is different. What you're looking for is dual density or zoned cushioning. A softer top layer for shock absorption sitting over a firmer base for stability. The combination gives you impact protection and a stable platform. What you want to avoid is a single density ultra soft foam all the way through. It feels incredible at the shoe stop, but at kilometer 15 or your long run, it starts to bottom out and your foot starts tilting side to side and your IT band is doing overtime to stabilize you. Now that's a warning sign that you need to know. The fourth property, rocker geometry. This one is underrated. A rocker sole is curved profile built into the platform of the shoe. Think of it like a bottom of a rocking chair. It rolls your foot forward enough just through the gait cycle instead of letting it slam into the ground like a brake. So why does this matter for your knee? Because a rocker reduces the braking force at the initial contact when you hit the ground and shortens the moment at the knee. This is a clinical gold and it tends to increase your cadence, I'd say about 3 to 5 steps per minute just by wearing a rocker. Higher cadence means shorter stride. Shorter stride means less floating at the knee. So a high stack shoe with a strong rocker profile biomechanically is very different and very much more protective than a high stack flat shoe. Section 3 is where we talk about the wear pattern issue. Before I get into the brands, I want to talk to you about something that catches most runners out. The shoe that felt perfect running 100 kilometers in there might be actively driving your injury at 500 kilometers. And with the technology these days, the outer sole of the shoe, which is the bottom of the shoe, doesn't wear out as aggressively as they used to. And that's where most runners look at. But the midsole, the foam, compresses over time. And more importantly, it compresses unevenly. Think about it like Play-Doh that you just squished and it's uneven on one side in comparison to the other. If your midsole is more worn out on the outer skirt of the shoe, you're running on a subtle angle on a tilted platform every single year step. The outside tilt increases the stress on the outside part of the knee and it increases the demand of the IT band to work. So if you flip your shoe around, look at the outsole. If you see an uneven wear and then press your thumb into the heel foam on the other side, if it compresses significantly more on one side than the other, those shoes are done. It doesn't matter if they look fine. The midsole has gone and that shows a liability to your knee. Alright, so for brand recommendations, what I generally suggest is that you go to a shoe specialty store as well, give it a good crack, try them on and also ask all the questions. Now I'm going to give you about 2 picks per brand that I think that may tick the boxes for your knee pain. Let's start off with ASICS, the Gel Kayano's 32. For runners who overpronate, which is rolling in significantly. It pairs with a high stack cushioning and a guidance system that controls your inward roll rather than allowing it to collapse and feeling like there's a brick underneath your eye. For neutral runners, the Nova Blast 5. The full length responsive foam with a rocker profile and a moderate drop assists. HOKA, the Clifton 10 is an everyday recommendation. Moderate stack, great rocker, and dual density feel. It rolls you forward naturally and the cadence increase feels real. For heavier runners, those doing high mileage on pavement, 199. Max stack, strong rocker, wide heel platform, just to make sure you're landing on it and not sinking into it. Saucony's, the Kinevara 16, 4mm heel drop, moderate stack height, versatile. If you're moving out of a high drop shoe and this is part of your plan, this is a good destination shoe. For longer, easier miles, the Triumph 24, 43mm heel stack, but the rocker and zone foam keep it a little bit controlled so it's not as aggressive. Adidas, the Supernova Rise 3, 8mm heel drop, strong forefoot shock absorption, and it promotes midfoot striking without forcing a dramatic gait change. For something faster, the Adizero SL, lighter, responsive, and a moderate drop that doesn't load your knee as aggressively. If you're looking at Altra, ALTRA, they are a zero drop shoe. And I mean, you got to commit to this transition. The Torrent 8, wider toe box, max foam, the combination of impact absorption and foot freedom is generally a good for knee load. For runners who overpronate and want zero drop, the Paradigm 7. The max cushion stability model, it's a rare combination, but I've heard that it works. Go into the fancier models on running. The The Cloud Surface 7, 8mm heel drop, responsive Cloud Tech cushioning, and a stable platform. Good for runners who find Ultra Plus shoes make them feel disconnected. For more cushion, the Cloud Monster 3. Higher stack, slight rocker geometry, and that characteristic of the ground feel some runners love for with that proprioceptive feedback. The most important part here is how do you know if your shoe is the actual problem or if it's something else that is going on. This is the clinical question that really matters, because buying a new shoe won't fix the strength deficit or the mobility range. It won't fix the training load spike that you've just currently implemented. It won't fix the fact that you went from 40 to 70 Ks in a week, in 3 weeks, because you got motivated and you got faster. The shoe is one variable. It could turn up the volume or down on your symptoms, but it rarely is the whole story. What I use with the runners that come into the clinic here is a 5-question self-assessment. I call it the traffic light system, and it's designed to help you figure out whether it's safe to continue training, or whether you need to modify, or whether you actually need to get it properly assessed. I'll link this below, and it's free. It only takes about 2 to 3 minutes, and it gives you a starting point that actually clinically matters rather than a bit of guesswork. And so what I've been promising, at the end of this video, a checklist summary that you can screenshot. Next time you're looking at a shoe, whether you're in store or online, ask yourself these 7 questions. 1. What's the heel drop of this shoe? For knee pain, you're targeting 4 to 8mm. 10 can sometimes work too. And so if you're currently in a 12mm heel drop, don't jump overnight into something drastic. Gradually transition. 2. What is the stack height of the shoe? 25 to 35mm is the sweet spot. High stack isn't automatically bad, but it needs to come with the right foam density and geometry. 3 is the cushioning. Does it feel like you're landing on the shoe or sinking into it? If you're sinking into the foam, it's too soft for your load. 4, does this shoe have a rocker sole? Look at the profile from the side and see if there's a rocking shape to it. 5, is there a stability component, and do you actually need it? If you overpronate for this part, a guidance system matters, and if you don't, a stability shoe adds extra rigidity and weight for no benefit. 6, how many kilometers have you run in those current pairs of yours? If it's about 4 to 500 Ks, flip them over, press your thumb into the heel foam from the side, and if it compresses more on one side than the other, your midsole has gone. 7, is the shoe the actual problem? Ask yourself, has my training load changed? Have I been sleeping poorly? Have I done enough strength work? The shoe is one variable. Use it strategically, but don't let it distract you from the actual real work. Now, screenshot that. I've left this as an overlay for you to keep.